everyone, and welcome to a story that will make you look at your kitchen in a whole new way. Today, we're diving into a tale where the most ordinary objects decide to do something extraordinary. Get ready for the day the kitchen utensils went on strike. Imagine a bright, sunny morning. The kitchen was just starting to wake up, filled with that lovely golden light. Everything seemed peaceful, ready for the breakfast rush. But then, something strange happened. Clang! A spoon suddenly leaped off the counter, landing with a defiant clatter. Cling! A fork followed, bouncing off a plate. Bang! The big frying pan, seemingly on its own, rolled right across the floor, making a loud, rumbling sound. Then, a tiny tornado of silver spun on the countertop. It was the whisk, spinning faster and faster in a frenzy. Suddenly, a voice, sharp and clear, cut through the noise. "Enough is enough," shouted the spatula, its plastic handle trembling with frustration. "We work all day and all night. We get dropped on the hard floor. We get burned on scorching hot stoves. We get scraped and scrubbed until we're raw. And do we ever, even once, hear a simple thank you?" A loud, dramatic PSSHHH erupted from the corner. It was the pressure cooker, letting off steam like a protest whistle. The message was clear. The utensils had reached their breaking point. They had made a momentous decision. They were officially going on strike. The kitchen, once a place of culinary creation, was now a hub of rebellion. One by one, the utensils began to organize. The rolling pin, with its sturdy wooden handles, took the lead, rolling to the front like a grand parade leader. The spoons, usually used for stirring and scooping, started beating a rhythmic tattoo on the bottoms of pots and pans, creating a makeshift drum line. Plates and bowls clanged together, not in a messy accident, but in a coordinated symphony of protest music. It was a sight to behold. With their plan in place, the army of utensils marched right out of the kitchen, their metal bodies glinting in the morning sun. Once they were outside on the road, the scene became even more surreal. The utensils lined up in neat, orderly rows, just like a real protest march. They held up tiny, hand-drawn signs made from scraps of cardboard. The messages were simple but powerful. One sign, held high by a ladle, read, "Handle U.S. with care." Another, brandished by a group of knives, declared, "No more dropping." And perhaps the most important one of all, carried by a humble teaspoon, simply said, "A thank you matters." Cars passing by slowed to a crawl, the drivers rubbing their eyes in disbelief. Were they really seeing a parade of talking, walking kitchen tools? Birds perched on traffic lights, chirping in confusion. Neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains, their faces a mixture of shock and amusement. Soon, laughter and applause rippled through the neighborhood. It was, without a doubt, the strangest and most wonderful parade anyone had ever seen. The utensils, fueled by this unexpected support, marched on with even more pride, their clanking and clanging echoing down the street. Back inside the now eerily quiet kitchen, a boy named Tom stumbled in, yawning and stretching, completely unaware of the revolution that had just taken place. All he wanted was his favorite breakfast, a big stack of fluffy pancakes. He grabbed the carton of eggs, but as he tried to crack one, it rolled right off the counter and splattered on the floor. "Ugh, clumsy," he mumbled. He reached for the frying pan, but the hook where it always hung was empty. He looked around, no pan. He needed a spoon to mix the batter. No spoon. He opened drawers and cabinets, but they were all bare. The whisk, the spatula, the measuring cups all gone. Tom, determined not to be defeated, decided to make the pancakes anyway. He poured flour straight from the bag, but a huge cloud puffed up into the air, covering him in a fine white dust. He tried to pour the milk, but without a measuring cup, it spilled all over the counter, creating a milky river. He He attempted to whisk the batter with his fingers, but it just became a sticky, lumpy mess that splashed onto the walls and his shirt. The kitchen looked like a disaster zone. Tom slumped into a chair, defeated. "I can't do anything without you," he sighed, looking at the empty spaces where his trusty tools used to be. Just then, he glanced out the window. He saw the parade. He saw the rolling pin leading the charge, the spoons drumming away, and the little signs bobbing in the air. He saw his frying pan, his spatula, and all his other utensils marching proudly down the road. And in that moment, Tom finally understood. They weren't just being difficult. They weren't trying to cause trouble. They were trying to tell him something. They didn't want to fight. They just wanted a little respect. They wanted to be seen not as objects, but as partners in the kitchen. A wave of realization washed over Tom. He thought about all the times he carelessly tossed a fork into the sink or left the pan to burn on the stove while he answered his phone or dropped a spoon and didn't even bother to pick it up. He never once thought about how he was treating them. With a new sense of purpose, Tom jumped up and ran outside. He raced down the street until he was standing right in front of the utensil parade, bringing the clanging march to a halt. He took a deep breath and looked at the faces of the utensils, the tired spatula, the noble rolling pin, the determined spoons. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice was full of genuine remorse. "I'm really, truly sorry. I didn't realize I was hurting your feelings. I took you for granted." He looked from the pan to the whisk to the littlest teaspoon. "I promise, from now on, I will be careful. I'll handle you with care. I'll clean you properly after we're done cooking. And I'll always, always say thank you for your help." The clanging and drumming stopped. The entire utensil parade fell silent. You could hear a pin drop, or in this case, a fork. The whisk leaned over and whispered something to the spoon. The frying pan gently tapped the side of a plate. The whole group seemed to be in a quiet, serious discussion. Then, slowly, one by one, the tiny cardboard signs were lowered. The pressure cooker, which had been holding its breath, let out a gentle, happy puff of steam. A ripple of agreement passed through the crowd. With a silent, shared understanding, the utensils turned around. The parade was over. It was time to go home. They marched back to the house, but this time the mood was completely different. There were no angry chants or defiant drumbeats. Instead, the spoons tapped out a cheerful, upbeat rhythm. The plates hummed a happy tune as they rolled along. The utensils were marching back to their kitchen not as rebels, but as valued members of a team. They returned with smiles on their metaphorical faces, ready for a fresh start. Back in the kitchen, the transformation was magical. Everything just worked. Tom carefully placed the frying pan on the stove, and it seemed to sizzle with happiness. He used the whisk to mix the batter, and it whipped up into a perfectly smooth, airy consistency. The spoon stirred the syrup without a single drip. When the pancakes were ready, Tom flipped them high into the air, and the spatula caught them perfectly every single time. The plates waited proudly on the table, ready to be filled. That morning, breakfast tasted better than ever before. It wasn't just because the pancakes were perfectly golden and fluffy. It was because they were made with something extra special, teamwork, kindness, and a big dose of mutual respect. Tom and his utensils worked together in perfect harmony, a true culinary dream team. From that day forward, the kitchen was never the same. It was a happier, more harmonious place. Tom never forgot his promise. He treated every single utensil like a trusted helper, not just a mindless tool. He washed them gently, stored them carefully, and always remembered to say thank you after a meal. And the utensils? They never went on strike again. They didn't need to. Because in their kitchen, they finally felt seen, they felt respected, and they felt truly appreciated. So the next time you're in your kitchen, take a moment to look at your own spoons, forks, and pans. Maybe give them a little polish and a silent thank you. After all, you never know when your kitchen utensils might decide they deserve a little appreciation too. Thanks so much for watching and sharing this fun story with me. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time!